All right.
Hello, welcome to the Money Now Show.
Bonjour,
This is
bonjour.
this is where we talk about topics that are relevant to today about money and wealth. How do we navigate these waters and get to the promised land? We're going to find that out today. Or we're just going to look at news, which is what we've been doing for a while with your hosts, Arman Vakili and Dave Vakili.
Should probably update that intro. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
From the last 2 minutes that we were talking to each other, has anything
Yeah,
changed?
I've been a lot's changed.
A
I
lot's
can't really
changed.
get into the details now because
Yeah, let's not.
it's pretty intense.
We don't
But
want to air out our dirty laundry.
well, it's not dirty, but it's just a lot
Okay.
to go over. A
Okay.
lot to go
Sure.
over,
I understand. Gotcha, mate.
All right. So today we have a couple topics.
Yeah.
What you wanna go first?
Sure. I'm actually just pulling up the Facebook real quick. Okay, look at that. We are actually live on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Let me
Yeah, I have
share
it up
it.
too.
I'm just gonna share it
Okay.
so that people can potentially join us if they want to. Cool. Alrighty then, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Boom shakalaka Turner. College athletes can earn money from their name, image, and likeness according to the NCAA rules. This is something that we were talking about, I think like a year or two ago when we were still at the old house. And we were trying to figure out different advertising ideas and like advertising videos and things like that. And this is now going to be a game changer, quite literally.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be as of, it says, it's going to go into effect on Thursday. So I think it's actually today that it went into effect. But it's an interim policy and it's going to become federal. Like, so it's going to be actually applied to all schools across every country because right now it's only in 7 states.
Mm.
It's actually, let me see if I can zoom in real quick. Whoa. Holy cow. Okay. Yeah, so it's gonna be in effect for in all 3 divisions to get paid for their names, image and likeness. So nil announced Wednesday. The news policy is going to go on Thursday. 7 states originally, and the last until federal legislation is adopted or the NCAA develops permanent rules of its own. The interim policy will allow colleges and recruits to make money off of all activities like photograph signings,
Mm.
endorsements, personal appearances, as long as they are consistent with any applicable state law where athletes are located. This is actually huge, and there's been a lot of things going on, especially the reissuing of certain Heisman trophies that were previously taken away from certain athletes because of their activities around generating revenue for themselves and making money from their nil. And
Mm.
they took away, like Reggie Bush, for example, is a really famous one. They took his Heisman Trophy away from him because of those activities. And now the Heisman Trophy has been granted back to a few people because this is now coming into effect. And so all those people that lost their money from their or lost their Heisman, excuse me, from
Mm-hmm.
their money generation activities are now getting their uh, Heisman's back. Hopefully, that's what's supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
And also, there's like certain athletes that lost Division I scholarships or just opportunities to get drafted because of the fact that there's a famous one who was a kicker I forget the college name, but he was a kicker. He chose to pursue his YouTube channel to generate revenue instead of getting a D1 scholarship. And so they took his scholarship away, obviously, and they didn't let him play anymore. And so now he's talking about the fact that, he's kind of taking a little bit of credit for it. That is like, I crawled so that these guys could walk, which is the quote that he's been using. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, man, this is I think it's actually pretty cool that this is happening because colleges make a lot of money off of these guys.
Yeah. Right.
it's like the jersey sales and ticket sales and all of these things that they make off of college football, especially because college football is is almost more exciting to people and more in demand for people than the NFL. So
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty dope.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's crazy. I mean, we did talk about this like a while ago.
Yeah.
How a lot of, and to be honest, I don't know a whole lot about this, but I think it's pretty cool when uh the talent gets to participate in their they get to participate in sort of the not the glory, but like sort of some of the profit that they help directly generate, so
Yeah,
that's
totally.
cool.
Totally. And I think there is a part of this that you can definitely say that it has to do with glory. Because, I mean, the USC football is like a very famous program. And there are certain colleges that are very, very famous programs. And they attract a lot of talent. And people want to go there specifically because they know that there might be an opportunity or a better opportunity for them to get drafted into the NFL because
Mm-hmm.
they're a part of that talent pool. But the fact that now they actually can start especially football, because those guys are really putting themselves through a lot of physical torment before they even get to the NFL and to the league. So it's just it's pretty awesome, honestly. I'm just very, very happy that it's actually happening. I have some friends that uh, unfortunately were playing football and all these things before this was available, and they experienced a great amount of loss, just physically, emotionally, mentally, because
Mm-hmm.
of all the damage that happens when you play such a sport. And now that it's at least available for the next generation, or for the current generation that's coming up, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
totally.
it's a big piece of news. This one just dropped today. Like it's or well, the news article specifically, this one from CBS, came out today, and
Mm-hmm.
the actual announcement. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So,
Totally.
any other comments before we move on to your cool ass piece of news?
No, it's pretty good.
All right. Here we go. This is cool, man. This is cool right here. Let's zoom in real quick so that we can see what's up. Oh, look at that.
So obviously you can see it's a successful test flight of a flying car. So this car drove into an airport, then flew from that airport to another airport. I think it's about 35-minute flight in Slovakia,
Okay.
from between two cities in Slovakia, and it was pretty successful. It's interesting, I think a lot of times we kind of think that flying cars are going to be like hovering, and then like, but I think that this is like
Right.
this is pretty interesting.
Sure.
And it takes about 2 minutes and like 15 seconds for it to convert from a car to a plane, and then back again, I believe.
Is there a video of it here? Oh,
Yeah,
boom.
there is a video of it right there. And
Let me
apparently this you can play it. Apparently this
just want to mute it.
I don't know if there's much sound to it anyways, but apparently, so
Okay.
this car has already flown about 400 miles. The
This
car, like in
specific
the air.
car.
Yeah, I think this car has already like flown like 400 miles. It has a BMW engine. Um,
So cool.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, it's like a
And of course they're putting another plane next to it. The wings, are they permanently in that position,
no.
or
You
do they
it
like
it
fold in?
converts. Yeah, it converts into a car. I mean, you still have a gigantic propeller behind you, but this car carries like two people. I just think it's kind of interesting because they're already I think it's Hyundai I think it's Hyundai is like looking into developing sort of like a hovering car for Uber. And that's going to be, they're thinking about that,
Yeah.
that's going to be coming out maybe in like 2023. But this is just kind of an interesting, I don't know how viable this is,
Yeah.
in terms of like, what I'm saying, but right here it shows you, it'll show you like how it.
Oh, cool. Okay. 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 Yes, that's excellent. That's great. Yeah. That's pretty legit.
Yeah, you
Think
still do
about
have
how
a
cool it would be for
propeller.
this to be your job. Like the people who are making these kinds of things is like this is their job, dude. Like this is so
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. um but yeah, I mean, it's it's not like it's extremely viable for any any real person to get, but it's it's interesting. It's like it's a pretty interesting, like, little car plane. um
Slovakia.
yeah,
And
so
so is that where it's made? Is Slovakia?
yeah, I think so. I think it was developed there. It took a couple
Took
years for
two
them to
years to develop.
develop. I
Yes, go
think
ahead.
you can only hold like two people, and I think like the max weight is like 440 pounds or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. But you need to probably have a pilot's license in order to fly that thing, drive
I
that
mean,
thing,
yeah,
maybe.
pro- probably
Yeah. So
the when he was just kind of like, oops, when it was going to where was it? This right here.
mhm.
I think he was like his right there where he's. I think that's his accelerator that he's pushing forward. So it's like a very similar accelerator uh, as the aircraft itself, because it's like this lever that they push back and forth.
Wait, go.
So
Are you sure that isn't the shifter?
yeah, because he's not. It's like he's gradually pushing it forward. He's not shifting anything.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool though. Either way, very very cool.
Yeah.
Nice, 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 nice. And so this might be an interesting piece right here. So there are about 40,000 orders of aircraft in the United States alone, and if we convert 5% of them, so 5% of 40 would be what?
5% of 40 is 2,000.
Nice, Stagey. Excellent. So 2,000 orders. So if they get 2,000 orders of this car, I guess it's like per year, that number. I don't exactly know if it's yeah. So 2,000 of these things at what? What do you think it's going to be priced at? Like a couple $100,000?
Something like that, probably.
Probably, right? It's not
Hmm.
bad. It's like a nice little bit of revenue. And it took them less than 2 million euros to develop across 2 years. So I think obviously when they start, if they put this thing on like an assembly line and they really start like cranking them out, they could probably make some really good money. And what Klein Vision, the company behind Aircar, are they public?
I don't know.
Klein Vision flying car, Klein Vision stock. Look at that. It is not, and there's no IPO plan either. So we will see what happens with these guys. All right. Okay, so Mr. Bezos is officially stepping out as CEO.
Hmm.
And so since he's stepping off, it's actually this upcoming Monday. So July 5th is when he's stepping down as CEO, and it's going to be replaced by Andy. What's the guy's name? Andy Jassy, who is the
Mm.
head of their cloud computing
Right.
department.
Right.
The
I remember
Yeah, so he's going to be taking over. Jeff wants to focus more on innovation and invention and things like that. And they added two new entries to their set of 14 leadership principles, which we
that.
will also go over in a quick minute. But the one entry is strive to be Earth's best employer, which is
Mm.
pretty cool. And success and scale brings broad responsibility. So these things are to
Mm.
address two big pieces of criticism that they've been getting a lot. First one being the fact the Earth's employer part has a lot to do with the criticism that they've been getting on treating their employees not the best, I guess, and Amazon has faced routine criticism from employees who say it has cultivated a brutal workplace culture, with tensions rising to a head in April when they failed unionization in one of its Alabama warehouses. So this was one of the things that they're really trying to address, and this was the last letter that he sent out to his shareholders as a CEO, and he wanted to address these two things specifically, one of them being the fact that Amazon workers were complaining or they weren't very happy about the environment. So he wants to make sure that that's addressed and that's actually taken
Mhm.
care of. And then the other one being that success and scale bring broad responsibility, specifically scale, right?
Mm.
So in the actual new edition itself, it says we started in a garage, but we're not there anymore. We are big, we impact the world, and we are big, we impact the world, and we are far from perfect. We must be humble and thoughtful about even the secondary effects of our actions. And this is because of the criticism that they're getting around whether or not they're doing unfair competition or trying to push their size around a little bit and maybe act like a monopoly or something like that. And there was an article I read earlier in the week that in India specifically,
Mhm.
I forget the specific term for it, but there are these like little hole in the wall shops that are owned, and there's like 40, 50,000 of them that people are very, very loyal to, that no matter what happens, they'll go and buy everything from toiletries to actual food to household items and things like that from this little hole in the wall. So if you can imagine basically something the size of our office here that is
Mhm.
just bought floor to ceiling,
Yeah.
uh, packed with things, and
Mhm.
there isn't room to move around. That's how much stuff is in there, and they're a very, very pivotal part of their infrastructure within that country. And so those kinds of shops, mom and pop shops, are competing with companies like Amazon. And
Mhm.
so people in India and in places like that are saying that they will never leave those types of shops because of the fact that they're so loyal to them and so dedicated to them. And that's been a big part of the conversation as well. And the criticism that Amazon's been getting because of the fact that they're like buying up everything. They're buying up everything. They're buying up everybody. They're going into every industry imaginable. And
Mhm.
that's what people are really concerned with. So this specific addition to their
Mhm.
principles is that we're not trying to be that. We're not trying to be that kind of a person where we're unfairly wielding our size. So yeah,
Yeah. Definitely. So that's one of the new
these are the
additions
two
to
new
the.
ones. Yes,
Got
sir.
it.
So this is on their AWS website on Amazon, and these are their current leadership principles. So I'm just going to do the headlines. So customer obsession and their first
Mhm.
sentence, I guess. So leaders start with the customer and work backwards.
Mhm.
Ownership. Leaders are owners. They think long term and don't sacrifice long term value for short term results. Invent and simplify. Leaders are experts, or excuse me, leaders expect and require innovation and invention from their teams and always find ways to simplify.
Mhm.
Leaders are right a lot. They have a strong judgment and good instincts. Leaders learn and be curious. They're never done learning and always seek to improve themselves. Leaders hire and develop the best. Leaders raise the performance bar with every hire and promotion. Leaders insist on the highest standards. They have relentlessly high standards. Many people may think these standards are unreasonably high. Leaders think big. Thinking small is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Leaders create and communicate a bold direction that inspires results. Leaders bias for action, so speed matters in business. Many decisions and actions are reversible and do not need extensive study. Frugality. They accomplish more with less. Constraints breed resourcefulness, self-sufficiency, and invention. This is very interesting to me. They earn results. Leaders listen attentively, speak candidly, and treat others respectfully. They are vocally self-critical, even when doing so is awkward or embarrassing. Leaders
earn trust.
Sorry?
You said earn results, but it's earn trust. But it doesn't matter. You got it.
Did I say earn results?
Yeah, it's okay. Dive deep.
Where are we at? And treat others respectfully.
You got it. No, you already have it. It's okay.
Okay. Earn trust. Okay. Leaders dive deep. They operate at all levels, stay connected to the details, audit frequently, and are skeptical when metrics and anecdotes differ. Oh, I see. Okay. When metrics and anecdote differ. Got it. They have backbone. They disagree and commit. Leaders are obligated to respectfully challenge decisions when they disagree, even when doing so is uncomfortable or exhausting. Oof. Leaders deliver results. Leaders focus on the key inputs for their business and deliver them with the right quality and in a timely fashion. And of course, the two new ones, leaders strive to be Earth's best employer. They work every day to create a safer, more productive, higher performing, more diverse, and more just work environment. Success and scale bring broad responsibility. We started in a garage, but we are not there anymore. We are big, we impact the world, and we are far from perfect. We must be humble and thoughtful about even the secondary effects of our actions. Our local communities, right there, local communities, planet, and future generations need us to be better every day. We must begin each day with a determination to make better, do better, and be better for our customers, our employees, our partners, and the world at large. So these kind of seem less like actionable type things and more so like mission statement kind of things, because everything else is like earn this, dive deep, have a backbone, all that kind of stuff. But it's actually very interesting. You know, I've never read this document before. I saw it as I learned about this article from NBC, and I thought, you know what, man, this is it kind of the very first thing is customer obsession. So it's literally what they work backwards from about everything else. And now that they've gotten so big, now they're also employee focused as well, to just make sure that everybody out of their millions of employees are also satisfied and taken care of. That's why they developed those robots that we talked about the last episode that we did. So it's the world's biggest company right now, and there's a lot to be learned from these beliefs and these philosophies. So,
yeah, definitely.
Anything that stands out to you?
I would say that you know, I mean, it's a even just by reading this or like, you know, listening to these things, I mean, I can definitely see how it could be it can get to be like a tough environment to be in.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
And so it really depends on, like, you know, the leaders of those specific teams and how on the nose they are with all these things, you know, like, and how demanding they are with, you know, because, you know, you can take some of these things out of maybe, you know, some of these things can be done with love and lovingly, right? But, you know, some people take these and it's just like they're being a hard ass about it, you know. So but yeah, I mean, they seem pretty interesting, like pretty you know, frugality, bias for action. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And it's kind of interesting that they have this, right? It's like speed matters in business. Many decisions are revisable and don't need study. But then right here it says they're operated all levels, stay connected to the details, audit frequently, and are skeptical when metrics and anecdote differ. No task is beneath them. So
Yep.
it's like two sides of a coin. Like some of them talk to different conversations, but it's also like
Yeah.
you gotta do it fast, but you also gotta do it right, and you gotta make sure that you take care of everything. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
this piece right here, right? Insist on the highest standards. And the
Mm-hmm.
last part goes, leaders ensure that defects do not get sent down the line and that problems are fixed so that they stay fixed. It's like it's just really interesting. It's like I really feel like they obviously put a lot of thought into this because they're this giant company. So
Right.
you can probably break down each one of these and really go into depth about each one. That might not be a bad video to even do. So it
Yeah.
could be a nice little leadership video.
Totally.
Okay, cool. Ready? Here we go. Talk to us.
So New Jersey sort of approves 2 1 gigawatt offshore wind projects, and
Hmm.
basically what for people who maybe don't know what an offshore wind project is, it's basically like the wind turbines just
Hmm.
inside the water.
Oh, wind turbines inside the water.
Right. So it's like like the huge fans you see like as you're going down the
Yeah,
five.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's just like those inside the water off the
Is there a
coast.
video? There's no
There's
video.
no there's
Okay.
no video. But basically, so they approved, and so it's New Jersey, which obviously it's the state of New Jersey, um, but New Jersey, um, sorry, they
Do you
have
want me
a
to scroll?
no, you're good, you're good. So they're the company that controls the like the energy or whatever is PSEG. Um, they are they sorry one second close so them PSNG PSENG and another company is a Danish company called Orsted. They're sort of teaming up together. It's like a joint project between those two, and they are sort of putting together this project.
Hmm.
And basically, this is sort of this is off of, I guess, sort of the Biden administration has like a big push for offshore wind power.
Hmm.
And so just so you get like an idea of what a gigawatt of what it does is that 1 gigawatt, depending on sort of the way that the energy transfers from the actual turbine itself to the energy storage, and or to the grid, you could power about between 300,000 to maybe 750,000 homes for a month
From 1 gigawatt.
from 1 gigawatt.
Okay.
So, the population of New Jersey is about 9.5 or 6 million or something like that at the moment. But so basically, they have about right now they have two different projects happening. So it's like their ultimate goal is to get about 7.5 gigawatts going on this shoreline on the coast. And
Yeah.
there is a so the project. Let me see if you're
It's
on
right
it.
here, right? Ocean wind and then Atlantic shores.
Atlantic Shores is
I have them open right here. So this is the Ocean
right.
project,
Uh-huh.
and this is the Atlantic shores project.
Right. But yeah, so anyways, the push is to get 7.5 gigawatts
Mm-hmm.
going on the like for wind on the shores by the end of 2035 is what the
Mm-hmm.
plan is for. But obviously with wind, there's a couple things, right, to think about the actual environment and whether there's wind or not. That
Right.
could be, and so the company uh, Orsted in January of this past year, they had a little bit of a spike after they had some sort of like an announcement that they were going to do this project um, for New Jersey, and so they had a spike in their stock price, and then after they made another announcement about how I think it was either 2020 or maybe 2021, maybe a year that doesn't have as much wind. That's going to be like there wasn't going to be as much wind power coming in, so the output is probably not going to be as high. Then their
Correct.
stock price dropped. So that's another factor to think about in terms of like wind farms. But I think that um, the amount of obviously the amount of waste is way less than than fossil fuels and what we've got going on right
Oh,
now.
for
Because right
sure.
now,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so and if it was seven, this is just for the coast and whatever. But if they did have 7.5 gigawatts, then that would be around like five 5.5 million homes that could be powered every month
Mm-hmm.
just off of the wind.
Yeah.
Um, Now, that doesn't necessarily, that may be over like a span of like a lot of space. So it could be New Jersey, New York, and like just like uh, um, all of the coastal states. But so one of the things I think is kind of interesting to look at here. Number one is um, Orsted might be an interesting stock to look at, and then also another stock to look at potentially could be the it's the
PS.
PEG is the ticker, NYSE colon PEG is the ticker, and that's the stock for the company that is in New Jersey. Because once, like, a lot of these companies have, what my thought on it is, like, maybe once these companies have a good understanding of how this works, then they may
Yeah.
be able to lend a hand in other places and be a part of other projects. So, and definitely Orsted is one of the leading uh, basically one of the leading companies on um, like wind energy in the world. And so yeah, they've been around for like a few years. But yeah, so it's pretty interesting. There's just a lot of like you know the rabbit hole kind of goes a little bit deep here, but
Yeah.
yeah. So there's a few things to sort of like keep an eye out for. The idea. So I'll actually just show maybe I'll share this with you. Um, I just gave you a link in the chat, but so this is sort of Biden administration launches a big push for offshore wind, and this is sort of like sort of what the plan is. You can kind of scroll down a little bit to the specifics part of it, and there are sort of basically designated wind energy areas, and that's sort of like that. These like this triangle area. These are like I believe that's what these areas are. They include is those areas where the best
Wind
wind
development.
would right exactly
Yeah.
that's like where the best wind could be harnessed or whatever.
And this
Um,
is through Orsted, right?
No, this is the Biden administration's like plan, like push. This is what they want to
I
do.
see. I see.
Yeah. So, and that's a map. That's a map of near New York City. So,
Yeah.
um, anyways, but this is a fairly big, and obviously he says right there, it says they have like $3 million sort of earmarked for loans dedicated to wind industry. 3 billion, sorry, not 3 million.
Yeah. I was
So
like, what's that gonna do?
yeah, no, 3 billion. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of I was just thinking about what are the companies that are going to be sort of taking these projects on, and I think that Orsted, uh, because they're such a big player in this
Yeah,
industry, in this
they're
in
right
this
here.
thing, then I think that Orsted will be one of the one of the companies to look at over the next like few years, over the next at least 10 years or whatever, as their expertise is sort of utilized throughout the world as we start to move away from fossil fuels. So,
Yeah, man. This is so I don't want to get little too far ahead of myself, but this, whoever's watching this, whether you're watching it live, because I saw there are a couple of people watching live.
mhm,
If you're watching this live, or if you watch this as a replay or something like that, and you're wondering, how do I find stocks to potentially invest in or something like that, this is pretty much it. Like, you read the news, you look at what's about to be developed, you look at the companies that might be attached to it. And energy is a very, very big conversation all the time, anyways. So it's like, if you can find the companies that are going to
mhm,
attach themselves to government contracts or to be involved with certain things like building a freaking flying car for
yeah,
taxi companies or something. It's like, this is not really that big of, it's not that complicated of a process to try
mhm,
to find uh, companies to look into. For example, if this company takes off, this what is it called again? What was the name of the company?
I think it starts with a K. I forget what it is. But another thing to think about
Klein
too with
Vision.
this, another thing to think about too with these companies is that if it's a company like this where it's like a flying car, you like have to kind of try to think of the practicality of it in terms of like how many people can have this car. Yeah, the stock price might go up but like long term, this would be like a company unless they start doing other things and their visions are like way bigger than that. But like when it's an energy company who may have government contracts for billions of dollars, it could be a little bit different. I mean, so you have to like, yeah, obviously, you choose whatever, right? Um, but I think like vet everything. Even the one that we were just talking about in terms of the energy company and the gigawatt offshore wind projects. Like, so go
Well,
ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say that, like, this kind of attachment. So if these
Hmm.
guys take off, Klein company or whatever takes
Yeah.
off, and they use BMW engines as a part of this development, that's like, BMW is a company that's been around for a long time. You can buy their stock immediately.
Hmm.
And whether or not these people do take off, you're probably not going to have a bad bet into BMW. I'm not a stock advisor. I'm not a securities advisor. Go consult with one, so on and so forth. However, when you're looking at the fact that they're getting this kind of, I'm actually very, very curious as to, let's see, let's look at the date of this article.
It was today.
Wednesday, June 30th, 2021.
Oh
Oops.
wait, June 30th. Oh
Yeah,
wait, that
yeah,
was yesterday.
yeah. Stock has gone up 0.46 today, down in 5 days, down in a month, up
Hmm.
22% in 6 months. It's not a bad stock. So
Yeah.
it's, when you look at shit like this, excuse my French, when you look at news like this, and when you look at the surrounding companies, when a big piece of news like this comes out, it's not a bad idea to say, okay, a lot of people buy BMWs BMW also is affiliated with, so let's see, how many companies does BMW own? They own, very interesting, it's good to know. They own BMW, Mini, and Rolls-Royce. I know a lot of people who drive Minis. I know a lot of people who spend money on Rolls-Royces. So Mini could probably be like their upper middle America car. BMW could be their upper middle America car. Rolls-Royce would be their elite class car. So they're catering to, and same thing, right? All these different brands are owned by General Motors. GM has also agreed to supply fuel cells to Nikola, which is the electric car company that's working with a lot of trucking and like electric trucks and things like that. So it's like things like this. You don't have to necessarily know everything there is to know about BMWs or cars or things like that, but you can connect the dots. And if I were to kind of segue into the tip of the week, it would probably be that. It's like just read things like this, do a lot of due diligence, as Deji said, kind of scrutinize every. What was the word that you used? You used a use a
I don't
word.
remember.
Dang it! Why don't you remember? But use the different word. But anyways, yeah, look into it. It was like another word for look at it carefully or
Yeah.
damn it.
Vet.
Vet. There you go. Vet.
No.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
sir. So yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I definitely think that there's a lot of there is a lot to learn, and there's a lot of different industries you can kind of, if you are looking to, get into specific kinds of industries. The things that kind of interest me, as I'm going through this process, is energy. It's kind of interesting to me. Technology is interesting to me. I would say that, I mean, stocks and like money and like things of that nature, I think are interesting to me. But so as you kind of go through your journey, you can kind of figure out what you find interesting. And I think that like there is sort of money to be made in anything, really, even if you like shoes or like, soccer, like sports teams, or love playing video games. Like there's something to sort of know if you know a few things about certain companies and certain sort of fields of expertise. Then yeah, I think that uh, you can probably make some kind of educated guess. Um, but honestly, like, the another thing too about stocks is that, like, if you're playing a short term game, that's if you're playing a long term game, that's one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can put your money in it, you think it's gonna do well in X amount of years. But if you're doing a like short term game, it's a little bit different, right? Like you're at on some level you could be, if you're letting your emotions get the better of you, you could be gambling with your money basically, because there's not a whole lot you can really predict. Like nobody would have ever been able to predict that there was going to be a pandemic and then everything would have tanked immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's going to predict. Something could happen in 2 months, to the stock that you love, and if you're not in it for the long haul, then or maybe you didn't do that much research or something into a stock, a company that you thought maybe a good bet because you heard other people talking about it, and so you put money into it, and then it goes down, or maybe it goes up. You can get lucky too, I think. So yeah, I think that really just paying attention to and doing the research. That's
Yeah.
like a big thing too. So yeah. If anybody have any questions on Facebook?
Um,
Did you see anything?
don't think so. It
Okay.
says that there's somebody watching. I don't know if that's you or. who, but
There was somebody watching our before I got in. But all right. So you have
yeah,
any final thoughts? Did we kind of just do that?
sure. Um,
I feel like we kind of did the final thoughts actually. We can go into the
we
tip of
did
the
like
week.
tip of the week and final thoughts kind of mashed in together.
Well, I didn't do my tip of the week, so
Okay, so give us your tip of the week.
um, my tip of the week is actually it not 100% finance related, but my tip of the week is on Netflix actually, and it's called what is it called? Um, Guide to Meditation.
Oh, interesting.
And it's from Headspace. And the reason I'm choosing that is because I think sometimes throughout our lives, we can get into a place where we can get sort of caught up in sort of the things that don't really matter, in our daily lives. And I think that meditation, although, it's very difficult on my own to meditate,
Sure.
but while I was doing it with this thing, I actually felt like I got progress, which was very interesting.
Sure.
So my tip of the week is check out Guide to Meditation by Headspace on Netflix. That's my tip of the week.
That's cool. I think mindfulness and being centered allow you to make better decisions, business wise, financially, things like that.
Yeah,
So I
totally.
think it actually does connect to the topic of the show. Maybe it's like an indirect connection or like an
Yeah,
adjacent
yeah.
kind of an idea.
Hmm.
But yeah, for sure. I'll say to be a little bit more centered on the topic of money, I would probably say learn dollar cost averaging instead of investing a lump sum into something and worrying about what's going to happen with it. Break it apart into a 12-month increment, and then whatever stock you were thinking about buy it across those 12 months, because you will probably allocate some money towards the down months, you'll allocate some money towards the higher months. But the idea that if you bought it at 100 and you invested all your money into it and then next month it drops to 50, now you're panicking. It could be you bought some at 100, next month it drops to 50, you bought some more at 50, month after that it may drop to 25, and you bought some more at 25. And if you're investing the same $100, first month you got one share, second month you got two shares, third month you got four shares, instead of having to invest everything at the first month at that high price. You're buying it in these increments, and so you're getting more shares of the same company. And if it just goes back to $100 or goes back to $75, whatever it is, then now, because the fact that you have more shares, you're actually making more of a return on your money versus having bought everything at 100, and if it does this dip and comes back to 75, you're still down. So dollar cost averaging is a pretty strong idea. It's a very simple idea to understand, but it is a pretty good idea. And it's why I recommend people invest in increments instead of lump sum and dumping
Mm,
everything into it, unless
that's
you're going into an index account, because that actually protects you from the loss. So that's the one part where I'd be like, it's okay. It's not a bad idea to dump it into an index if you want to do a lump sum. But if you want to go into a variable market, then do it in increments so you actually get different portions, like different chunks of shares.
yeah, totally. Sweet. Um, okay, well, thank you to the audience for tuning into the show. If you did miss this show and you're watching it on YouTube, good job, because that meant that you had went to YouTube, searched for Nahesh Agency, and then started watching the show, which was amazing. Good, that's
Yes,
a really
sir.
good on you.
Look at
But if
that.
you are watching this show now, which I
Yeah.
don't think you are, maybe you are, and you want to figure out, hey, where can I see the other ones? Go to YouTube and type in Nahesh Agency, and then Money Now with an exclamation point, and you'll find us. We're there. Also, you can
Sure.
go to Facebook, Nahesh Agency, which you're probably on right now. if you're
Yes.
on Facebook, and Nahesh Agency on Instagram. So we're all over the place.
Yeah, we are. And you can find Deji at Deji Vankole everywhere. You can find me at officially Arman everywhere. We also are doing a show called Simple Money
Yep.
that covers specific topics that usually are a little bit complicated and sophisticated, and we break it down into simple terms so that everybody can understand them and not be so overwhelmed or intimidated by them. So
Yep.
you can also find that on YouTube. And yeah, thanks
Sweet.
for hanging out, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with us. Thank you, Mr. Deji, for your wonderfulness.
Hey, that's what I'm here for.
Somebody's got to do it, right? Somebody's got to do the hard jobs.
Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it. Okay, guys.
All right.
Laters.
Bye.